taking some risks, right? There is no room for error. And a player that's familiar to taking risks on the side of Geekay Esports is Miguel Arcjau, one of the couple of players that we've seen over the past couple of days take a golden quest. And let's see what these players are going to choose as we load on in to game number 1 of Branching Out versus Geekay Esports.
Here we go, Crowan. This is the first game of our elimination day. Only 4 teams will remain, and this one will set the standard. This one will get momentum going. So this is a very, very important one, as we've seen throughout our matches so far.
Wow, Tactician's Crown being the choice for Branching Out. This is not something I would have expected, actually, coming out of them, but the whole lobby now has to deal with it.
Yeah, that's +1 unit to each board because of this Tactician's Crown, which is made by combining 2 spatulas in the game. But for this matchup, that means the tempo is going to be pushed. The damage will be higher each round because there's more opportunity to lose by more units. So open forwarding will be significantly worse than some of these other things throughout this game.
100%. The tempo of the lobby is increased, and I have seen time and time again in these high stakes situations, when the tempo is increased in a lobby, that's where players oftentimes make the most mistakes, and they spend gold too aggressively, they overroll and just do not have the economy to recover, and it's really, really hard to get a top 4 when you just start off that far behind. So hopefully players are going to be able to remain calm and composed and really, really utilize all of the strategies here that TFT offers.
It looks like 2 of our players for Branching Out were able to make 10 gold on 1-3, which is significant. Able to get that econ kick started early for Lacoco and Volta. Able to get to 10 gold. Also, just having, it looks like it'll probably be only a 2-component start here. So a very unique game with a Tactician's Crown to start, with a lot of gold influx in the game already from this beginning stage. And we do see only 2 components come through.
Yeah, only 2 components. Maybe players would have high rolled. Maybe a 3rd component, however, if Magic Wand is the choice by Volterix, but it is going to be all that shimmers. The gold generation of either Mogul's Mail or Gambler's Blade is so hard to pass up on. Nobody takes Gold Collector, unfortunately. There's not really good early game AD carriers, but Mogul's Mail for Volterix is going to continue to breach, you know, that gold deficit against the rest of the lobby, or that gold advantage for the rest of the lobby, rather.
Yep. And you see he has a redemption, which he probably will slam on that unit, which will just help that Mogul's Mail survive even longer, giving them extra gold generation throughout each of their matches. We've seen that be such a powerful strategy, able to push people to level 8, even level 9 before everyone else.
Coco pumping up, being the augment choice, running 3 Eldritch in the early game. Not specifically a strong start, but still being able to make 10 gold is not terrible. Going up against a Spellblades composition for Bapzera. Of course, not having any Syndras that we've seen so far, but the Cassiopeia and Ari in the backline are going to be dealing a lot of damage, and it is nice seeing the Tactician's Crown right on units now, as it does give just a little bit of stats.
That was like one of my favorite changes that happened. I believe it was last set. They're like, yeah, you should put this on your board. It's cool looking. Here's some stats to make you want to do it.
Yeah, Twitch chat always being like, yeah, no, go fawn on somebody whenever it was called, you know, Force of Nature still, and not Tactician's Crown. But now there's actual reason to put it on your board. So it's not going to be too game deciding, of course, but just a few stats might end up making just a little bit of difference. As we see Dobbs there rocking with the Keeper's Opener. This is very good when it comes to multicasters, and there is a cast in here, so something that Dobbs is certainly considering, as there are no item slams yet, just a tier and a cloak there.
Yeah, one of the problems for that board, though, was that they didn't have very many of these good slammable items. But for Arcjau here, with the Witchcraft Emblem already on board, with a couple upgrades, with a very strong start here, this is one of these boards that we saw yesterday that it wasn't one of those rerolls, but was absolutely dominating and had the opportunity to win lobbies.
Yeah, 100% vertical witchcraft, especially if you're able to get up to that 6 or 8 witchcraft. It just has so much value. If you have a strong opener like Arcchow does in this game, and you can go level 8 and hit the Karma, right, the Fiora, all the other witchcraft units, you can definitely still contest for that lobby win.
Looking across our lobby, we see branching out with 2 win streakers, Geekay with only 1. We have the clear split of our players who are thinking, hey, I'm pretty strong. This stage 2, I'm going to win this stage 2. And the players that don't feel the same. Again, another Moguls Mail player, Volta here with that Moguls Mail as well. But, oh, this is, yeah, but not slamming that redemption.
Yeah.
Was a little surprising to me.
I mean, it is just on a Poppy 1. Maybe redemption isn't actually that valuable as opposed to, you know, getting a mono generation item for a backliner. Volta maybe not wanting to lock themselves out of having spare components. So when they do get to the stage 2 carousel, they can actually have some good damage. Oh, we're going to get that 1 gold.
Especially
yes.
with, there we go. Especially with all of the different champions that need mana generation in the current patch that we're on, whether that's Syndra or some other AP carry like Rise or Karma that we've seen do well into the late game.
You know, we see a couple of Kog'Maws there in the back line for VCLF. Kog'Maw was played in this series in game number 2 on day 1, right? It was Enzo actually versus Dobbs who did that. So we're gonna see if someone is on the Kog'Maw grief duty, right? If someone has to take that responsibility,
yeah, right.
as we've seen time and time again. And that is a Syndra with a tier. VCLF grabbing that away, wanting to deny it. They do have a Syndra actually on their board as well, so they could go still in that direction.
Yeah, they also have Moguls Mail, VCLF does, on their board with that Gargoyle Stone Plate slammed. But this tier could be useful for these Kog'Maws. I think that's a good route. Looks largely uncontested right now. We do have Enzo playing some of those units as well, so the possible contention could come from there.
A pair of Syndras, a pair of Kog'Maws, a tier. Shojin's is good on both Kog'Maw and Syndra, and it really is just the decision point of not only VCLF spot, but what the team needs, right? It's not just going to be a standard like, oh, Syndra's better, so play Syndra. VCLF could very well still go in that Honeymancer Kog'Maw direction just because that's what the team needs, and maybe they want to be contesting someone on branching out going that same strategy.
Yeah, go ahead and slam that tier on Syndra if you so choose. Here we go. Able to get those more casts to see. Just keep your options open, right? Having the Syndra on board is still quite powerful. Able to kill a few more units because of it. And still able to generate some gold here as well for both of our players using those Mogul Mail.
Absolutely. Syndra even could clean this one up, but not quite, as she has not upgraded yet. It is still going to be Syndra alive at the end of the day, however. Volta made a couple of gold, but that is, you know, power of a couple of Kog'Maws and a Syndra in the backline, even with no completed items, still being able to get VCLF to a 2 streak. At that Blitzcrank upgrade, that's a huge deal with that Mogul's Mail in mind.
Yeah, I was about to say, unironically, that is a huge upgrade. Able to now generate more gold using Mogul's Mail because of that upgrade, because of the tankiness and just the raw HP that you get from upgrading a unit. Lococo and Dobbs both looking for this loss streak, while Enzo and Podable at the top of our lobby on that 4-win streak as well.
Yeah, Coco trying to make the board a bit weaker here to secure that streak, and yeah, it is very likely to be a loss here up against VCLF. There is a Rage Blade though, so technically a Syndra is stronger, but the front line for VCLF is just too powerful. There is a lot of units on Coco's bench, however. A couple of those shapeshifters, a pair of Swains might end up being sold, however, just to continue making econ. But for Enzo and Potable, right, they're trying to keep their streaks going, but they are unfortunately facing each other, so one of those streaks here will end.
Not even strong enough to get those 35 instances of damage on that Blitzcrank, and so a little bit of sadness on the other side. We do have our win streaker established in this lobby. It will be Enzo, keeping that 100 streak at 20 gold as well, so in a really, really good spot to stay healthy and push their tempo.
100%. Tempo is so strong here, especially with that Tactician's Crown, right? Being the portal of choice. And it was branching out again who took that. So this is going to be exactly the style that they wanted to play. And that's reflected in Enzo and Potable, right? Contesting for that win streak. Unfortunately, they didn't run into each other. But branching out is actually even ahead when we look at the holistic view, I think, of the game. Because Coco and Enzo are full streaking. And for Geekay Esports, the only member with a full loss streak is Dobbs. And no one has that full win streak.
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward there, but we've seen that be okay, especially in stage 2 if you have the direction that you need, right? If you you know, figured it out throughout that first stage, showing you where you need to go. Enzo will be happy with that last Whisper Slam, seeing if what comp he's going to be able to play. Playing 4 Vanguard currently with these Hunters is not where you're going to end up for sure if you're Enzo.
No, I actually got the Dragon's Claw augment where, you know, when you get 7,000 healing, you get a component. And so really going to want to make the most out of that front line. But let's see if he's willing to slam a last Whisper or if he still wants to keep those backline items open. There is a very strong front line with his 4 Vanguards, however. But going into Volterix here, who's still level 4 with 70 gold.
This Mogul's Mail item is just so incredibly strong. You see 2 gold being farmed there for Volta, and I think that's probably why he's at this 70 gold. Looks like he's going to be slow rolling it on 5 for this Zoe board, which will be incredibly powerful, or deciding if he wants to level all the way up.
Yeah, I'm thinking Volta might actually want to level, because generally if you have excess gold above 50 and you're going for 1 cost real composition, you would still roll down to 50. There's better odds to get 1 cost if you are on level 4 as opposed to level 5. Volta now being on level 5, being presented with some augment choices. Again, gold. Got big grab bag. Item Collector Transfiguration. Item Collector is a good one, but does re-roll it in favor of that grab bag. Wanting to slam some very powerful items right now. That's potential Warmogs in the front line for that Poppy to make more gold. A Death Cap slammed for that Zoe. And we're going to see where that gold from Volta is going to go here soon.
Yeah, still sitting on 86 gold, can clearly level to 6 if they so desire. Will be slamming all of these tank items in order for them to just push their advantage a little bit and use that Mogul's Mail, and they are re-rolling here on 5.
See how much gold they get. Spent 2 to get 4, it looked like there, so pretty worth it. Feels good. Just slot again another Zoe there, which is not the best addition to your board, right? 6 units because of that Tactician's Crown. Zoe, though, having some solid items, and that Poppy, though, really being the massive tank that Volta's leaning on.
Yeah, the massive tank, but also the gold generator, right? 1 gold farmed, about to be a second, maybe even a third this round if this Poppy is able to withstand the pressure from the opposite team.
Barely not.
Lakoko, though, has that Syndra with the Rageblade Sojin that we've seen be so incredibly effective in these games, with pumping up as well. That'll just really help this comp reach that late game potential.
100%. And I actually do think I like Volta's flexibility here, not over committing to the Zoe reroll, but really assessing the spot and maybe getting the teammates kind of feedback and saying, hey, is this something that I can go? Do you need me to go another composition? But the answer is no. Volta staying 70 gold and above, but already on 6 Poppies, right? Is going to be on 6 Zoes. Really, really powerful opener.
I was wondering, I was confused why he was above 70 gold, but I forgot that augment all that shimmers raises your interest level to 70 gold as well. And so he is super rich and playing a little bit greedy here, sacrificing some of his HP in order to have as much economic power as possible. And someone that has rolled all the way down to stabilize is Dobbs here. Lowest health in the lobby at 50 HP, a 7 loss streak, and now quite a strong board. Already finding this Kalista, having Shen and Kassadin and Akali too. Quite strong here now for Dobbs.
Yeah, I think we knew from that keeper's choice that Dobbs is leading multi-strikers, and that is, of course, the case here. Has a Kassadin 2 with 2 solid items, right? One being that Archangels, and the second being the Quicksilver. A lot of the units still, important ones are still 1-star, right? With that Kalista and the Hecarim. You're probably not going to be rolling Kalista 2 anytime soon, however, but still some solid stabilization. Did roll very heavily for it, however. The only person who is lower in HP in the lobby is Coco on an 8-loss streak here, but there is a Syndra 2 on that board. There is upgraded frontliners, so I think Coco is going to be stabilized with that in mind.
That is his hope here on the 8 loss, still continuing to lose. But now having that Gargoyle Stone play in this front line is quite powerful on a Swain 2 especially. And you saw him celebrate his good loss there, keeping his economic power while eyeing what is next for his board. He's trying to decide between playing these shapeshifters and possibly even playing these vanguards. You see him holding some of those on bench.
Yeah, I think Coco wants to get into the Vanguard line, as I don't really think he's in a position to reroll Syndra in this game. He does, however, just have a strong frontliner for now with the shapeshifters, right? When you roll down on 3-2, it's kind of just what you hit. You can't only click the units that you're looking for. Sometimes you don't see them. You have to be willing to go for the suboptimal frontline and then transition into the one that you want later.
Yeah, gonna be taking another loss here to Dobbs, who has rolled all of their gold in order to stabilize and has done so effectively. So Lakoko now, are you eyeing another loss here, possibly lowering you to maybe even 2 lives, but will give you lots and lots of gold?
Yeah, and Coco needs that gold. Coco, again, did roll on 3-2, so it doesn't even have a big economic advantage this game. Players like, VCLF being level 7 and 70 gold, that is absolutely massive. But Enzo, 9 streaking with a Kog'Maw reroll. I think this is the first time that we've seen such a large win streak coming out of this Kog'Maw composition.
Yeah, and this is the power of getting some of those early upgrades, right? Having that early Dragon's Claw, too, that gives some item advantage, and just having excellent items here for Enzo, and a lot of gold to spend as well because of that win streak. Hoping to continue that here.
Yeah, and actually, it makes a lot of sense going this composition on Tactician's Crown. Tactician's Crown being the portal choice, because you want to run 7 units on this composition, but you want to be rolling on level 6, and so being able to play both the Lilia and the Jinx at level 6 makes this so insanely strong. It might end up being a loss here versus Babzera the Syndra. Can't you do it? No, actually, Enzo preserves the 10 streak into Wolves, and that is massive dub here for branching out.
Just being Twitch chat for a second, he did miss Tristana in shop in the last shop.
Oh, did he really? Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, he sure did.
Thanks, Twitch chat, for the reminder.
He was just staring at it the whole time.
Yeah,
no, Twitch chat, I'll represent you. It's fine. We are heading into our next neutral round here, scouting around, looking at the journey of each of our players we see across the lobby. For Volta, it's been 5th place the whole time. And looking at Arcjow with that 4 loss, but we do see Lakoko and Dobbs now recovering their loss streaks and starting to stabilize.
Yeah, Coco making that red buff, holding on the bench, but rerolling all the other items. Now this is going to be a Dragon Claw on the Swain. We do, of course, have Pumping Up being the augment that provides all this attack speed to Syndra. It is a little bit surprising that the red buff wasn't, given to that Karma, given how she spreads that anti-heal so well, but actually is going to forego these vanguards. I think Coco here is committed to these shapeshifters, and actually is running 4 Encanter as well with Cassiopeia, and Zig still on the board. Not something that we quite expected, but maybe even looking to go for Swain 3 with that Less Shaped Duplicator on the bench. Only 3 left to go.
Yeah, that's something that gets opened up a little bit with this Tactician's Crown, having options to go for that 4 Encanter or possibly 6 Shapeshifter earlier than normal. I bet also Lakoko is waiting for that remover. Will probably move that red buff over, has that Gnasher's Tooth that he could slam on bench as well.
Yeah, let's see how these win streaks and loss streaks are doing. Arcjow going to be on a 5 loss streak now. Enzo up to 11 as we get our 4-2 augment. Gold all the way. Mentorship is good, but it is rolled, and item collector actually is going to be the choice here, and that is some great value to get with all the items that are on the board. Rolling down at level 8, what does Arcjow hit?
So far, not too much, just everyone else's Kog'Maws that they're looking for. Finding some of these preservers is quite good, but no large upgrades. Finds a Nasus in shop as well, which is a huge part of the survivability of the board he is rolling for, but no Karmas, no Fioras, and those are the 2 pivotal cornerstones of this composition, and without them, we're not going to see much success.
Yeah, 4-2 still being stuck on a Zoe carry is just insanely rough, right? Even skipping all the Namis, because this isn't that Vanguard, you know, Incanter kind of style of play where we usually see that Syndra board go into. It's just going to be a kind of Witchcraft style, of course, and that's the direction that ArcJao had chosen from 2-1 with the Augment choice, but not hitting on that roll down, unfortunately.
And really does need to hit really soon, and without a ton of gold to work with, it's going to be quite the challenge. Not a lot of HP either to work with. We've seen this work well from an win streak type spot or a really healthy spot, but on a 6 loss now for ArcJao, and not the units he's looking for. It's looking quite scary.
Yeah, that even one karma would have been in the difference in that fight. But now moving over to Volteriux here. Volta has hit, did have to roll very heavily to get to this point, but now is pushed to level 6, is able to play 4 Bastion, 3 Arcana with the help of that Tactician's Crown. And I think Volta maybe is regretting the choice to put that Tactician's Crown on the Lilia, might have wanted to put that on another unit just so we can get another 3-item very powerful tank. But however, the positioning of the Lilia to not get the aggro and then still hold the Ionic Spark to buff up that Zoe's damage is still really, really nice.
Yeah, and one of the powerful parts of this set and being able to slam items like that is that Reforgers are so easy to access. Removers are so easy to access in this set because of charms. Able to just buy them for a couple gold or have a 1-for-1 round that you can use. It's an incredibly close fight.
Wow.
Oh, the Kog'Maw able to win and keep Enzo at the top of these standings, but someone else has joined them now. Dobbs on that 6 win streak.
Yeah, Dobbs with the multi-strikers has a huge win out here. They don't even have Kassadin 3 yet. They are in fact, you know, pushing a little bit of levels, trying to go for that tempo or style of play, and crucially Dobbs hit the multi-striker emblem on 4-2, so it's much easier to get to 7 multi-strikers and get to that critical mass.
The interesting thing looking across this lobby, though, is outside of Dobbs and Lakoko, who have kind of stabilized around these 2-cost rerolls, no one else in this lobby has their identity quite figured out yet.
Yeah, it's a few Syndra players that are kind of pushing levels. We got a couple multi-striker players with Dobbs and Pada Bull. Volta, of course, the Zoe reroll. But yeah, not too much crazy. Enzo is going to be the only Kog'Maw player, right? Uncontested, but you know, they're doing still pretty good with that 85 HP. They did lose their win streak a little bit ago here in stage 4, but still just so powerful with that board.
ArcJao finally finding some of these important pieces, but they are all 1-starred. Able to get this rise with the Witchcraft emblem, which is probably the second best holder of that, and maybe where he wants to stick with it, but also finding that Morgana, which is such an important part of this board, able to access that 6 Witchcraft that we've seen be quite powerful.
Yeah, not only 6 Witchcraft, but the Preservers as well is going to be a huge upgrade. But will the Rise be able to take down Zoe in this next cast? Needs to survive versus the Zoe cast, and he does. ArcJao with a crucial win there. If he had lost, that would have been on just 1 life remaining, but will now for sure be able to head into stage 5 and still be looking for that karma. Ooh, actually, this is an interesting decision. There's 15 gold spatula to get another Witchcraft, and ArcJao is going to be playing for this 8 Witchcraft.
And we have a Fiora in shop now.
Oh yeah, he can play it.
This is the option for 8 Witchcraft, and here it is. Very, very powerful. That was a crazy turn of events for ArcJao, and now he's looking for the possible win out. The problem is, though, we have 1-stars nearly all across the board.
A Witchcraft is good, but it does not mean you automatically win the game. You still need to have your front line survive. You need to have good damage dealers in the back line, but against Pada Bull's 3-star Kassadin, can ArcJao hang on?
Yeah, Pada Bull contesting Lakoko here, and which is very interesting because they're on the same team.
See, winning this matchup here is ArcJao, so the power of 8 Witchcraft is still good enough. However, I think each round that goes on and the Karma isn't here, I don't think Rise will be able to cut it going into the late game.
Yeah, Rise does not quite scale as well, especially with those items. You really kind of need that Rage Blade or some kind of mana generation in order to scale Rise throughout the fight, in order to get Rise casting a ton. That Karma's just a little bit more consistent, applies the Witchcraft buffs a little bit more, and so he's probably still hoping to find those.
Yeah, Volta has really dropped off a cliff in terms of power level here, and I think that comes through because that Zoe is just attacking really slow, right? Zoe only having the attack speed of the little bit of Giant Slayer, having that bow component, but her casts are just too few and far between, not being able to output enough damage, and we don't have Ari as a true secondary carry here because the items are a bit lacking. There's so much frontline. But maybe with one item here, Shojin's for the Ari could be what Volta needs to come back in this game. Rolled pretty heavily there just to get that extra Rise 2 in, but it doesn't have any items. Meanwhile, Coco, Swain 3, massive frontline.
Yeah, this front line is absolutely huge. Now the Shyvana 3 to complement this Swain. The double Dragon's Claw as well. No magic dealer will do nearly any damage to this Swain. Killing everything else is a plus. But look at this Swain. Getting aggro from 4 golden units and barely feeling it at all.
Yeah, look at all that healing. It's almost plus 1,000 when that Dragon Claw ticks. The Swain having the Warmogs and then all the Shapeshifters buff to just get that insane amount of health and regen that comes along with it. AP units are going to very much struggle to get through that front line.
And this is looking quite unfortunate for branching out in this first game. Volta not really finding what he's looking for. Pade Bull being contested by his own teammate, and now sitting there staring down 8th and 7th place is branching out.
Yeah, they are sitting in 1st and 2nd as well, at least right now. So even if they do go 8 and 7, there is still a possibility that they can win the round. All of Geekay Esports kind of in that middling HP number, besides for Arcjao, who is on single digit HP, but this is going to be a team killer between Potable and Volta.
Oh man, yeah, unless Arcjao also joins them with the gray screen, this would be a pretty disastrous matchup, knowing that one of them will be going out in 8th place here. And for Volta, who has played quite a good game, played that greedier playstyle, hit everything that he was looking for, this would be a quite unfortunate result, seeing that their spot, but it will look like that Poppy with the Radiant Gargoyle Stone Plate and the Mogul's Mail farming gold will be enough.
Yeah, it will, but eliminating Pot of Bowl, see if Arcjao gets eliminated as well. But no, Arcjao won the round, and that is branching out, taking 8th, placing in number 1. Volta did win that round, but is he strong enough to survive yet again? Dobbs lost down to 13 HP, Babzera lost down to 19, and VCLF lost, however. So even if branching out go 8-7, maybe Enzo and Coco can salvage the situation.
Milio 2.
Yeah, can't afford it though.
Would be quite strong here.
Does sell for it. Okay.
And puts in Fairy as well, so we'll be slotting in this for Khan.
Milio 2 before Karma 1. Seems good.
It sure does, but it does not apply that much damage to the board. No. Does spread Witchcraft quite well, but you don't really need that once you get that Morgana and some of these other Witchcraft units online that can absolutely debuff the entire board. You see the backline turning to Frogs, CCing that Syndra, and still looking like Arcjao is quite powerful, but not a lot of damage left on this board.
Oh, Arcjao taking the one there barely versus Babzera. That was teammates facing each other. Dobbs actually falling down. Multi-striker player is out of that one, and that was the tempo multi-striker that Dobbs was trying to go for. Had reached 7 multi-striker right with that emblem choice on 4-2, but it was not enough.
And Volta surviving there in that fight is very important for branching out. Not going 7-8 means they don't have to go 1-2 here. But this next placement, these next 2 placements, will really determine how this game is going to end up. Babzera has lost 3 times in a row, and now staring down a possible 6th place.
We have Nami with 3 items, 0 on the Karma, and both those units are just 1-star. The front line is decent, but there's really no frontline items. There is not a lot of staying power for them. It's all up to the Syndra, up for some good Nami positioning, maybe to get that CC coming through. There is an Ionic Spark to buff a little bit of that damage. But for Babzera, this might be the end going into this round. However, versus a Xerath 2 from... Who is this? Is this a ghost fight? No, it's going to be VCLF.
Yeah, VCLF on the other side. This will be a team battle here, and it's looking pretty one-sided. The items are not slammed, though, on the other side. There are...
Buff a little bit of that damage. But for Babzera, this might be the end going into this round. However, versus a Xerath 2 from... Who is this? Is this a ghost fight? No, it's going to be VCLF.
Yeah, VCLF on the other side. This will be a team battle here, and it's looking pretty one-sided. The items are not slammed, though, on the other side. There are 3 of them on this bench, and so really hoping that Babzera is able to survive, and it looks like they might be able to, taking down that Syndra, now taking down the Xerath, and it's going to be quite good team play happening here.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, but all of them are going to be at 1 life remaining. This is elimination here. Who got knocked out? Was it Arcchow or Volta?
Looks like Arcchow did knock out Voltarius in a very, very crucial matchup. And so that will be very, very good for Geekay here and their chance in this game. And all because of the team play and sacrifice happening from Babzera.
Actually, it is still really rough for them. Branching out need to take a first and a third to win this. And with everyone on Geekay being on single-digit HP, being on 1 life, and with 44 HP at Enzo, 49 HP, and a 10 streak from Coco, they're actually looking pretty good here.
Yeah, the effort is great, but all of them on 1 life now, so they have to outlive one of them, and it's not looking like that is even mathematically possible in this game unless you get some really, really unique charms, get that Desperate Plea that could really shake up this game.
Hey, Desperate Plea looks like it has been chosen by Arcchow here, and that was exactly what needed against Coco. Surviving this round, and yeah, that was not even close, right? The Swain will just never die, but Arcchow not dying from the moment either. However, it will be 2 eliminations as, wow, they all,
man.
yeah. Babzera and VCLF both fall, and so branching out do take game number 1.
Woo. Yeah, fantastic showing. We see clearly the strategy that we saw a lot from branching out. We've watched a lot of them so far in this tournament. A lot of them usually towards the bottom of standings, but they usually have those 2 players that they're all in on. And in this game, it is Enzo and the Coco able to both get that top 3.
Yeah, very well done there, Coco on that 11 streak. Arcchow with a nice Desperate Plea attempt, but it just was not enough. And we talked about the tempo of this lobby perhaps being a big part of where everyone's going to end. And with Enzo being uncontested Kog'Maw, having that extra unit from a Tactician's Crown, that was a night and day difference from where we've seen Kog'Maw end in previous days.
Oh, it sure is. Being able to hit because of being uncontested is just such an important part of this patch. Understanding who is playing what and what you can play as a result of that. Knowing that you can't always play the Syndra line that everyone else is playing.
No, you cannot. But now it is still going to be playing for average placement because we do have that extra prize there at the end of the event. It is going to be Coco versus Enzo here. 2 teammates fighting each other. But this is Dragon Claws versus AD, so maybe Enzo can break through this front line.
Yeah, quite possibly, but that is still so much HP to get through. This raw HP number is so strong, and that does not reduce the healing of this Swain. The Syndra is still ramping up, and it will be enough to win this fight. Enzo dropping down.
It was close, though. It just came down to Syndra plus on their backline, where the Swain did fall, the kind of immortal king of a unit there. But Coco now level 8, rolling for more board strength. He already won last round, but now being able to maybe find Briar 2 is just running a couple of them right now, however.
Yeah, for now, just satisfied with the CC that provides in the big health bar from that Shapeshifter 6. Arcchow now transitioning back to Karma 1 for 8 Witchcraft here. Did win last round, which is good for their chances here in this game, but again, does not quite matter. We know Branching Out has taken the team win. The Shyvana onto the backline is going to do quite a bit of damage and take out the main carry for Arcjao, and that will definitely be lights out for this composition.
Yes, it will be a good effort by Arcjao, but just was not enough. The 8 Witchcraft was not enough, because there wasn't really a true carry there for a large portion of the game. But we got some
Let's go.
pretty big sugar cake stacks here.
Oh yeah, look at that cake dance. It knows that it's reached some of those higher tiers, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tiers. Oh, we're rolling down for Enzo. I don't know what we're looking for, but we've kept our core units and trying to find something else special. Lococo's board though, just an orb.
Just an orb on the board, and that's not really going to do anything. It is just going to be giving the win over to Enzo. Perhaps a team member kind of... Oh, actually, I think this makes a lot of sense. If you have the player who's been doing the best so far, you might as well keep their record good so they get that extra maybe AVP placement at the end of the tournament.
Yeah, I'm looking back a little bit at Enzo's performance throughout the tournament so far, and it has been really, really good. In their last series, he went 2-2 and was the MVP. In their first series, we saw Enzo not do the best, but still quite good for the team, and so maybe they're putting all the eggs in the Enzo basket.
Yes, they are. Just rolling for fun, however, trying to get some more upgrades, as he's going to win anyway in this little victory march. But while we watch this, right, I want to be able to talk about what Geekay needs to do in this next game, because they are now one game away from going home, right? All the hopes, dreams, expectations for this squad, for this organization, is being put down to the final match.
And this could be a repeat of what we saw in our first round. Branching Out taking that 1-0 lead, one that could turn quickly into that 2-0 and send Geekay out of this tournament after getting a chance at redemption.
Yeah, a chance for redemption, but we see the stress on their face. We know that it is do or die time, right? We had some strong openers, right? A couple players were playing Syndra, Babzera with that Spellblade, VCLF with a good Mogul's Mail opener, Dobbs with the multi-strikers. However, I think that was the big letdown of the team. Had a strong early game, but just was not able to convert it, was not able to reach that critical mass, even though he got to that 7 multi-striker line.
Yeah, lots of interesting decisions in this game that led to an uncontested Kog'Maw going for that first place, and just some really interesting team play from Geekay there too. Clearly they figured some stuff out to try and work on losses and wins and figure out who can get there, but at the end of the day, their compositions weren't strong enough to secure those top spots that are really needed, as we've seen, to really close out and take a game win.
Absolutely, and I think you might have mentioned the kind of key phrase here is that uncontested Kog'Maw. Perhaps with one of the players of Geekay Esports, maybe, Dobbs, who's running a 2-cost, composition, did, of course, go for that tempo style of play, but maybe he had to be just on grief, dude. Maybe somebody did, as we take a look at the highlights here from just this first game. Volterix, of course, going for that Zoe reroll. Didn't really end up where he wanted to. Did get 6, but I think he would have loved to see that go a lot further. Fortunately, it didn't matter, as they still claimed the victory.
Yeah, it was one of the most surprising things in this game is that Volta did go out in 6th place after hitting all of these units that he was looking for. But it was Arcjao with those 2 Witchcraft spats on that really, really interesting play. We saw buying the spatula using the charm, able to push them into the top 3, but not enough to win the game. That was the moment we knew that it was all over for Geekay. Branching Out, able to secure 2 of those top 3 spots, and eventually just 1-2 in order to seal the game.
Yeah, that desperate plea was not desperate enough, unfortunately, for Arcjao, but that does show really what charms can do in the late game. If Miguel Arcjao had high rolled just a little bit more and then got to that 8 Witchcraft, it could have been a game win there in that, you know, from that situation. Unfortunately, just didn't have the gold, didn't have the economy, didn't have the units, right, to make that happen. It was a Melio 2 at one point, you know, before hitting a single karma. And Melio, we talked about before, is great at buffing up your team, giving some key units a bunch of items, but really just is not a carry in of himself, unfortunately.
Yeah, it wasn't quite enough, but they're regrouping, getting ready for this game number 2 that we are so excited to see. We're going to get ready. They're going to regroup. We're going to regroup, and we're going to get ready for game 2 right after this break.
Have you got what it takes to get to the top? It doesn't matter how high you climb. To reach the top, even the biggest champ needs a break. So you can recharge, dive back in, and dominate. Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
You know what I learned in history class, Crowan?
What did you learn, Celia?
I learned that history often repeats itself.
That
But
is
I
true.
know for Geekay here, they're hoping that that's not the case. Branching out to Owen Geekay in their first round matchup, and now fighting that same reality once again.
Of course, fighting that same reality. They have to make it happen right now. It is do or die time, as they are just one match from being able to, you know, for the team of branching out. There's one match being able to advance on into that playoffs bracket, but for Geekay, their hopes and dreams might fall.
Yeah, the history of round one haunting them here now. They are getting ready for this game number 2 and hoping that they can put something together in order to continue on. They did an excellent job in that elimination match yesterday, able to get their way back and get that second chance that they've been looking for against Branching Out. But we know Branching Out is quite a strong team. They showed it there in that first game.
100% they did, and I think Geekay has to reassess, right? What do we do better? Do we have to take players from our team that are in bad spots and put them on grief duty, right? We saw that be a big part of a lot of Kog'Maw games in day number 1. I think that might be a strategy they have to go for here, unless they're just in good spots themselves, right? You don't have to be on grief duty per se if you are just in better spots, but for players like Dobbs, right, who just was not in a good spot, you can't really be making those decisions. But that is a whole team having to assess that, right? And that could just be some nerves, it could be just lack of recognition, but it does need to really shape up right now, right? Miguel Archel almost was able to find a victory with that 8 witchcraft, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough. A 1-2 from Branching Out. They are, at least for now, still looking dominant. So I think the learnings of your history class, CLE, might be true. History might be repeating itself unless Geekay have anything to say about it.
Yeah, it often does, and I think for Geekay, they really need to figure out who is going to be this player that's going to go for that lobby win. That's one of the really important roles in this 4v4 format. Who are the people that have the opportunity, the setup to win games? Because often in TFT, you understand quite early that, hey, I can't play for first, but I might be able to get fourth in this game, and so that's my goal. But they need to be able to have people challenge for those top spots, and I think in that last game, they didn't really have that opportunity.
Yeah, unfortunately, they did not. Branching Out, looking focused, ready to play their game number 2 here on day 3 at the Esports World Cup. It is going to be game 2 of Branching Out versus Geekay Esports. Will Branching Out clinch this victory and move on, or will Geekay fall to the wayside?
Branching Out once again, wanting this tactician's crown to start. It would be funny to run it all the way back for them.
Nope.
Not going to be the reality though. Prismatic Party giving us these really powerful prismatic augments for every single time. So we will have an extremely powerful lobby.
And you know what this brings, CLE? It brings a lot of high variance, which I think actually Geekay might be happy about, because if you can't just outplay the enemy team, right, on just standard good TFT play, TFT has variance in it, right? And you might as well put that up a notch and make sure when these crazy massive augments come through that they do go your way. You take those high risks and they work out. But for Enzo, pair of Wukongs to start this one off.
Yeah, Wukong we've seen be a really premier frontliner in this whole tournament, right? A 2-star Wukong with really good items will last you forever, but a 3-star Wukong will win you the game, it seems, in some cases. It's starting to take over the ladder as well. People are starting to catch on. So that has been fun to see that meta form from here at EWC.
Yeah.
But Hunters, with this Wukong, we have that board coming into fruition here. But with these prismatics, it's going to be very interesting, especially if someone can hit these high verticals.
Yeah, 100%. Portal being a high vertical that we saw be super dominant by Bobe yesterday. It is perhaps going to be a Kog'Maw reroll angle here for Enzo, but as soon as those augments do come through, it might completely change the game plan. We're not going to be seeing these hero augments this game, right? Because they are at gold tier, so no spin to win for Wukong. It is going to be Buried Treasures, New Recruit, or Tiniest Titan. Buried Treasures is really powerful. 6 components it gives. Worth the wait is interesting consideration, but not quite.
Yeah, worth the wait. It is a new augment that just gives a lot of power, because a lot of these 2 costs are premier carries, right? If you were to get that Kog'Maw from Worth the Wait, it would be very interesting. Taking a look at our left side, though, looking at the Shimmer Scale Esser from Volterix is one of the things that I want to check out, because that gives you 2 of these really powerful Shimmer Scale items. Obviously, the Mogul's Mail first, but later on, you will get the Gold Generation attack speed inducing
the Gambler's Blade
item as well.
Yeah, Gambler's Blade going to come through in 5 rounds, and Volt's already having a potential Rage Blade slam. Isn't slamming it quite yet, however, and I'm not sure if this Blitzcrank is going to be able to survive 35 instances of damage. It might be close, but I think there's not a huge amount of burst on the other side there from Coco, so yes, Volta will get that. Not going to get any extra gold generation, I don't believe, unless... No, not quite with that plus. It was getting kind of close, though. Maybe 1 or 2 more seconds would have gotten it. However, Zoe, of course, not a unit that needs to stack anything like Syndra, so no items being allotted to her right now, as this was going to be a loss either way for Volterix.
Again, good team play happening, understanding their spots. Volta knowing that he's probably going to go on a loss streak here. That Blitz 2 does change things quite a bit, though. And on the other side, we saw that Lakoko could go on that win streak. Potable, though, playing that pumping up, which gives attack speed when you lose HP. And so, why not lose it quickly?
Yeah, gonna be losing a lot of HP open forwarding, but build a Bud for Arcjow. Going to be given a Lilia 3. There are a couple poppies in the shop. Could have upgraded that, but decided not to. Maybe they're going to be going up against a teammate most likely, and that is a multi-striker crown up against VCLF. And yes, it is going to be a teammate on teammate violence here, so not making that board quite as strong. We'll be buying these poppies, I imagine, though, at the end of the round.
I would think so. I mean, this setup is an amazing one. He did level, though, so maybe not planning on playing this route, but instead going
Poppy?
Kog'Maw or something?
Wait, what? Poppy? Oh, okay. No, just, I don't really understand why there's not a Poppy 2. Not gonna lie.
I'm not quite sure either. I think we actually could be eyeing Kog'Maw. You know, you play, that's the only other comp that you play Lily in. The items are good here, right? You have that Last Whisper. You could slam Sojin as well.
Yeah.
Once you get a sword. And you have a lot of those Honeymancer units that everyone loves. Do we have 2 open
Yes,
forwarders?
we do. Babzera and Potable both open forwarding. Oh. This is going to be real hype here for game number 2.
It sure will be, because if either of them run into one another, they both lose their streak because of the new tiebreaker rules, stopping people from all open forwarding early in the game.
Yeah, Coco here with an early Shojin slam. Does have Giant and Mighty, giving a lot of extra HP to the whole entire board. As we get into Carousel here, we see the overview of the compositions, and yes, there is nothing on the board for Babzera and Potable, but there are 2 greater champion duplicators for Volterix and Potable. So with Potable open forwarding, maybe pushing a fast 8, could get some kind of high roll situation like a 2-star legendary pretty easily. We'll have to see a bit later, however.
Yeah, Babzera, though, playing that Tiniest Titans is critical here.
Yes.
Being able to heal up each round and not just lose, but also gain some back. Especially when you stabilize, you can drop quite low and then get back up to 2, maybe even 3 lives if you're able to get that streak going correctly.
Now we got to assess the question of, is data fake? Because data would suggest Tiniest Titan kind of sucks. It's below a 5 average when you look at Masters plus, you know, TFT in the current meta. But this is not just your standard TFT, of course. This is a team format. This is going to be open fort versus open fort of the opposing team. And so that is really going to be winning the battle here. If you are higher HP than Potable, if you're able to stabilize and have a bit more gold as well, that is just going to be you kind of winning out in that 1v1 battle.
Yeah, it's all about the, you know, how you play it and what you're able to hit at level 8, level 7, wherever you end up rolling with Tiniest Titans and just this open fort strategy. It's good that one person from each team is contesting the other. It does put a little bit of fear in them that they could both lose their streak, but also it allows for a good amount of gold on each side, both of them playing for that crazy win out first place opportunity.
Yeah, we saw some crazy win out plays yesterday, mainly out of Soju actually being able to make it happen. It was huge, but Babzera has bought units. I wouldn't be surprised if this is just like a bait and switch and he actually sells things, but however, it is a Syndra, so he might actually want to keep all these units as they are 3 really good Vanguards and the Syndra. Yeah, it looks like he'd kept those and just wants to high roll the matchup instead and still continue on that 5-loss streak.
Yeah, and it very well be that that is his plan to stabilize, right? Needs some kind of play, and getting that Syndra in before this neutral round to continue to get some stacks is a great solution. We do have our win streaker established here with Arcjao. Lekoko also trying to do the same. We see Volta farming gold over here above 20 gold. Will be getting that Gambler's Blade here shortly as well. 2 loss streakers, 2 win streakers, so lots of economic power alongside these prismatic augments throughout the game.
100%. We have Gambler's Blade here being picked up by Volta. A couple of 5 win streakers, couple of 5 loss streakers, 2 on each team. So this is very even now. It's also funny to see Babzera 5 lost, but actually is above Enzo in HP. And that does come because of the power of that Tiniest Titan's healing.
More attack speed items for Volta is definitely what he's hoping for, right? Wanting to use that Gambler's Blade effectively.
Oh,
will not.
What
the world?
Wait, that is a huge high roll orb there for Volta. Karma and Nami pair so well together. Not wanting to sell either of them for econ here. Kind of seeing a little bit of surprise in his face, like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I will take that, actually. That seems pretty darn good for me. And having that Shape Duplicator on the bench as well. Wow, Potable actually has 2 duplicators right now.
And Volta has that duplicator also. So as soon as he finds another one of these 4 costs, can make that 2-star that is just going to be so crucial. Potable slamming some items finally. A blue buff slam.
Wait, is that... Okay, I know the graphic says 2 Grudge Type duplicators. Is it also a lesser one? Yes, it is. There's 3 duplicators for Pot the Bull here. What is he going to use them for? I mean, 1 came from the first PvE rounds. I guess 2 came from the Krugs?
Maybe he bought 1 with a chart, or maybe?
Does that even show up yet? I don't even think that shows up yet.
That's stage 3 only, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have...
yeah,
no clue.
They must have been just a greater and lesser coming from Krugs. I guess that's possible. I didn't actually know that was part of that loot table there.
And it looks like Enzo will be going that Wukong Hunters route that we saw on that PvE round as a possibility. Does have items slammed on both of them, but here we go. Our second Prismatic Augment. I'm the Carry Now is a very popular one. Tiniest Titan we were just talking about. Not super powerful, at least in the stats, but when piloted correctly could be.
Yeah, it is a little bit better at 3.2, but not too much better. Still like high 4s, about at a 4.8 average. Enzo is just taking the generic good choice here with I'm the Carry Now. It's not going to be a huge carry at this point, but really trying to roll down here to find some upgrades.
What do we roll? I don't know what we're rolling for. We're rolling past any kind of Kog'Maws. I think we rolled past 2 Kog'Maws on that roll down.
Yeah.
I know we're looking specifically for Jinx 2 and Wukong 2, but not picking up these other units.
Yeah, I guess it's really just going to be centered around this Wukong and the Jinx, and so really wanted to upgrade at least one of those. So I think it's, at least in hindsight, you know, say, okay, maybe you shouldn't have rolled quite that deep, but really wanting to hit one of the upgrades, so I kind of understand the decision there for Enzo.
And I think I'm starting to understand as well. He's not really wanting to play this Hunter route as much as he's wanting to play 6 Sugarcraft, using that spatula to get that cake cooking, get the baking happening. And this board is looking quite strong here too versus Arcjao. Not going to be able to take down the rest of the team, it appears.
Oh, no.
What is that HP bar? I can barely even see it.
It's literally like less than 10 HP. for Arcgel there. That would have been taking out Arcgel's streak too. That is really, really rough. You see the frustration on Enzo's face after that one. But yes, like you were calling out, C Elite is going to be that vertical sugar craft. If we're able to get up to 6 sugar craft, yeah, that's massive. Who is he missing now for sugar? Because we just need, yeah, just the Bard left, and we're gonna reach 6 sugar craft as soon as he levels up and finds that unit.
Yeah, so he does have to level though, so now is the interesting part, because he is so incredibly poor at 1 gold. He and VCLF are really the only ones that have kind of rolled it down. Volta as well to try and stabilize here. Oh man, it's gonna be quite difficult to get there. Arcgel though, continuing this streak, being super rich. Level 750 gold for both Lakoko and Arcgel.
Yeah, level 7 for Arcgel though, even before the carousel. That is really insane. Potable hit some good frontline upgrades with a Swain too, but the back line is just awful. A Ziggs 1 blue buff is not going to do enough, and that's a triple Rage Blade Syndra because they had picked Anger Issues as the Prismatic Augment. So every item component does or every completed item transforms into a Rage Blade, and that's an augment that we haven't seen yet this tournament, CLE.
I love Anger Issues. I think it's hilarious. I think it's an awesome name and idea for an augment. I bet there will be more things like that coming in the future. And one of the comps that it's really good on is Syndra, that needs that mana generation through the auto attacking, but also these multi-strikers. If you can get level 7 with these 7 multi-striker with these Anger Issues, knowing that 7 multi heals you on attack.
Oh yeah.
And you're just attacking so fast.
Yeah, it's definitely
really entertaining.
Definitely best in slot for that multi kind of line. It is still decent in Syndra, however. It's not amazing on frontliners, but of course it does grant that 25 armor and MR from the Anger Issues augment. That is a kind of added benefit for the Rage Blades at that point. But it's still going to be rough maybe when it comes to finding that lobby win.
We have a lot of greedy players in this lobby right now. People selling their boards, making their boards weaker, continuing their econ in order to go level 8, try these crazy boards, or have giant roll downs here at the beginning of stage 4. So it is about to get crazy. We're going to see some insane spikes as our third prismatic comes in, and as we start to press that D key and see what we can find.
Yeah, and just looking at the right-hand side here before this round comes to an end. Yeah, good loss there, but it's an 8-win streak still for Arcgel and Coco. There was 3 players at the bottom. Dobbs, Enzo, and Potable were loss streaking, but Dobbs and Enzo actually found wins now. Arcgel got their first loss of the game. VCLF, however, now is up to a 5-win streak, but Coco still that dominant force at the top.
Man, and this is not the spot that we thought Volta would be in earlier in this game. We thought he'd be a little bit healthier. We thought he could be on that win streak. But here's the reality with that prismatic ticket, wanting to actually re-roll these Vanguards, re-roll this Syndra, and see what we can get on our board all the way upgraded so that we can be an absolute powerhouse in the late game. Thankfully, we have the gold generation and the means to do it with those free rerolls.
Yeah, a ton of gold generating through that Mogul's Mail and through the Gambler's Blade as well. That's going to be like at least 5 gold per round, if not more. So that's a lot of free rerolls that Volta is going to get. And so we usually see, you know, Syndra being rerolled. It oftentimes is not successful, but wow, Volta here could just sell the Casio and get up to 50 gold. They made like, what, 8 gold that round? That was kind of crazy.
It sure was. We need to keep our eye, though, on Potable. 10 loss streak.
Oh, yeah.
24 HP. Level 7, 50 gold, though, is a lot of economic power. And on the other side, though, for branching out, is Lakoko. 10 win streak, 51 gold. Level 7, 100 HP.
Yeah, the duality of man here in this game. 10 win streak versus 10 loss streak. Potable down at 24 health. Potable is going to be rolling down a huge amount in this next round. Is already pumping gold, it looks like, leveling up to 8. Has to make a good board work. Finds a Karma immediately. That is a great hit, but there is still more to go. Finds a Briar. Needs to find some good front line to be alongside this Swain. Perhaps a Fiora 2 as well. We do get a Nasus. That is a good start, but not that much gold left to roll down. Needs to find good units. That is a pair of Namis, but is Potable going to sacrifice all that gold to put them in? It looks like for now the answer is no.
Still going with 4 Shapeshifter because that's about all you have right now to work around. Only one of them upgraded. Only one unit on your board upgraded is that Swain on the right side of your screen. The Karma, though, excellent to hit here because of those items. No Fiora 2, no Karma 2. None of these frontline upgrades makes this a little tough, but clearly strong enough for now.
Yeah, Potable still does have those 2 greater champion duplicators to work with, so as soon as he finds maybe like a pair of Fioras, pair of Karmas, might just utilize though to stabilize, but there are 3 key units, right? Nasus, Fiora, and that Karma. But let's take a look at this Prismatic 4-2 augment. We knew they were all gonna be Prismatics, and so what is the choice for Volta? Is going to be tiny but deadly. Yeah, getting all that attack speed.
Yeah, it makes your units a little bit smaller, but attack a lot faster.
Another
one
duplicator.
of the funniest augments in the game. Another one?
Yeah, because of new recruit, gets that +1 unit on the board, and gets another duplicator. We're gonna use one.
Man, we can
on Fiora and Nasus.
everything.
Yeah,
I would think so. Right? That will really help stabilize this board. Really certify that win streak.
Okay,
yeah,
there's
volleyball.
one.
Here goes 1. And we can also do it to a Rakan if we so choose.
yeah.
Oh, we only have 1
Maybe
Rakan.
gonna wait for just 2 more units. Yeah, there's 2 Rakans, 2 Fioras. There are 2 Fioras on the board right now, which is a little bit unfortunate. You would want that to be another key synergy, right, for Preserver once he does find a Morgana. But for now, it is just going to be mainly still this Karma, and I suppose the Sentinel for the damage dealing. And Nasus only with 1 item is just not enough.
Yeah, not like a real tank item per se. It's something that just provides that shield and also AP. Not anything that's gonna stabilize him quite yet. He needs to continue to roll, figure out what he's gonna use those refs to duplicators on, because you cannot save those for next game.
No, they do not carry over, unfortunately. Each roll that comes through here is gonna be so important. Does find a Rakan upgrade.
Oh, and a Gwen in shop is quite good also. But here's the problem. Where is the gold going to come from to buy these units?
Yeah.
Are you going to sell this Nico that you need on this board? And it looks like that is the answer.
The big problem... Oh, actually double duplicator and Karma, and I think that makes a lot of sense, because I was just about to say, the big problem for Potable here is that there is not very many items to work with, right? There's only 3 complete items on this board that's not the Sentinel, and with the 3 components that we see on the bench, none of those make either Nasus or Fiora items, and that's exactly what they need. So Potable does settle making Giant Slayer on the Karma, which is great for now, but it really locks out the potential of having Fiora be that true secondary carry.
Yeah, using especially those valuable components that go on Fiora usually, but you see the power spike come through here. No frontline items, but now a couple frontline upgrades really do make that difference just with the HP bars alone.
Look at the HP bars, of course, of the whole lobby as well. Potable being very, very low. Dobbs the next lowest, but 35 HP on them. VCLF from Geekay Esports, of course, sitting at the top with 83 HP. The multi-strikers reroll being uncontested is really, really dominating this lobby right now, and we see the power over the course of 2 games now with 2 cost rerolls being uncontested really run away with it.
And I want to call out, as we look at the bottom of our screen, Call to Chaos for Arcjow gives double Sniper's Focus now put onto a Rise. Not a Rise upgraded unit yet, but quite a good one. Can turn a unit into a backline deleter because of the buffs that come from Sniper's Focus.
Yeah, Volta having all this gold wants to hit some of these procs from that prismatic ticket, has now 6 rumbles is going to be on 5 Mordekaisers, 5 Syndras, now 6 Syndras, 1 Rumble away. Has a few more rolls here to find some of these key upgrades. Not finding much, however, for now. Potable does get a Dragon's Claw to put on that Nasus.
That's really good.
Thieves Gloves on the Fiora, I think that makes sense with the lack of items. Just going to go the longest way with as little components possible.
Instead goes for the Dragon's Claw on the Rakan. Was getting
more rolls here to find some of these key upgrades. Not finding much, however, for now. Potable does get a Dragon's Claw to put on that Nasus.
That's really good.
Thieves Gloves on the Fiora, I think that makes sense with the lack of items. Just going to go the longest way with as little components possible.
Instead goes for the Dragon's Claw on the Rakan. Was getting aggro from a lot of those magic dealers early in this fight. Hopes the rest of the board survive. The problem with this board, though, is Karma does not do that much burst damage, and so will it be able to take it down?
Bomb.
The CC coming through from the Zillion is huge.
Absolutely. Zillion can make or break fights sometimes, getting that CC onto some backline divers. Coco is going to find a win against Arcjow there in that fight, and Coco actually landing on a Varus, but okay, gets the world being that charm that gives a copy of every single floor cost. Yeah,
this is a really good charm, only spawned by Xerath. Really gives you a lot of those needed units. We see a lot of pairs being found now, but also just generates gold for you. You straight up make a lot of money. I think it's only 16 gold or something.
To buy, I thought it was 36 gold to buy the charm. Actually, I thought it was like a ton.
Well, I'm saying you
make 16 gold. Yeah. I think you
Yeah.
do make gold still because there's so many floor cost units, so it is still a net profit there.
Man, this fight is a little bit sketchy. If that Swain gets upgraded, you see 6 copies total. This board is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
100%. That is going to be Potable taking the loss, but not being eliminated. Wow, just barely on 1 HP. There's a Fiora in the shop that is locked.
He's just going for pumping up value. Now at 1 HP means it is all the way maxed out. He cannot get any more attack speed.
Potable is going to be on all the upgrades he was looking for. Gwen, maybe. Briar, maybe going to provide a little bit of value, but it's just not that much at this point. See what items do come through from these Raptors. Hopefully some tank items for the Nasus.
Really not finding what he's looking for. I mean, you see him throw his hands up in the air knowing that he did not find a tank item. Ionic Spark is possible. Arcjow, though, big roll down here on level 9.
Let's see. Does hit a good upgrade of a Taric. The tower being the charm. Xerath getting that. Another upgrade in the frontline unit with that Tom Kench. Not finding Xerath 2, though. Not finding Nora 2. Now it's going to be Death Cap. Perhaps on that Xerath.
Ooh, the temporary preserver emblem for Potable will hopefully guarantee this round win. But on the other side, you see all of these golden units because of that prismatic ticket that Volta has. And they are going to be largely unkillable, especially with that D-Claw. But Nasus is still alive, which is the primary tank without great tank items. Karma also still surviving, but as the mana ramps because of the attack speed, it's not going to quite be enough. But Volta just keeps farming gold.
Yep, keeps on farming some gold. Does survive for now. Enzo dropping dangerously low at 14 HP. Trying to find something, but no.
This board.
It looks rather sad, unfortunately. Just on a Wukong 2, Jinx 2. Does have the, big cake stacked up from the Sugar Craft. And the Sentinel, of course, is now upgraded a little bit as we get into stage 5. Does have that Death's Defiance instead of a Bloodthirster. But it might not be enough. Enzo might be falling here soon.
Potable without any of these tank items. It's just really unfortunate unfortunate. Not rolling great items for Fiora either. Now facing off against anger issues that we've seen be quite strong if you can't get onto these carries early, but the Fiora is trying its best to get rid of them here early in the game, but it did not work. They are continuing to ramp up. So many stacks. We've crossed 100 on this Syndra, but without the resistances needed on this front line because you can't make real items. Again, a similar issue.
Yeah, definitely. Also, just doing some fact checking, it is 12 gold profit you get from clicking on the world.
Okay.
So still a solid one. It does give you a lot of either the pairs or the upgrades. So not a bad charm to click. And charm's going to be the name of the game here in this endgame situation. Enzo gets Earthquake, so a 2-second stun on the whole enemy team as long as they don't have any Quicksilvers or any of that CC immunity. The cake continues to grow, and there's some big pairs. Does sell the Gwen pair for the Olaf, wanting to be as powerful as possible right now because one more loss will send Enzo out, potentially in 8th place.
And this could be it. It's against that Swain 3. 2 Swain 3s, in fact, because of that Trickster's Glass. This Olaf is going to try its best to take it down, but with the healing resistance as well because of the Sunfire's burn, it is going to fall quite fast here, and with it, Enzo's hope in this game. The stack of cake will not go higher.
No, it won't, unfortunately. The front line too powerful, the back line too powerful. Everything just outmatches Enzo here in this game. As he goes out in 8th place, Potable does hang on, but Branching Out are the first to fall, making their journey here towards the playoffs, towards this game to win that much harder.
Arcjao, though, also down at 1 HP. Babzera within 1 life also. And so this is the exact situation we were in last game. Branching Out did take that 8th place, which is a bad sign, but they were able to take some of these top spots. Thankfully, though, Geekay Esports has some of these players that can eye that top spot. Dobbs on that 6-win streak here late into the game.
Yeah, VCLF as well with the multi-strikers reroll has really cemented themselves far up at the top. A 20 HP gap between VLCF at the top and Volta in 2nd place. Arcjao got that red buff, did not find upgrade for that Xerath, and that is a massive one as it is the primary damage dealer here with that double sniper's focus. And actually the items are gonna get moved over somewhere. They're gonna be going on to the Nora instead.
I really like this play. I think that will provide a lot of damage. This front line is quite good, so Nora has enough time to stall out a fight, but against this matchup, this is not what you wanted. These fights can end quite quickly if this multi-striker procs do start to stack up. Wow, this Nora is doing so much damage, though.
Yeah.
The further you are away from these units, the more damage these snipers focus do. And Arcjao staying alive here in this game.
Yeah, that was, I have not seen a Nora that powerful ever, actually. But look at the HP totals here, CLE. Single digit HP on 4 players. 1 HP between Babzera, Potable, and Arcjao. Coco just having 6. And Babzera, of course, Honey's Titans does get 2 more from that healing. But on a 4-loss streak, this next round might be Babzera's end. Arcjao did win the last round, but Coco lost 2 in a row. It all comes down to this. Such an important round here between Branching Out and Geekay Esports CLE. All the Rage Blades for Babzera are really falling off, but they need to work out here because this is going to be a team kill potentially between Babzera and Arcjao.
And I think they know the reality of the situation. Arcjao has a really good board, an opportunity to actually even win this game if they can continue to upgrade the board and have good fight RNG, and you're seeing the reality of that here. Arcjao's board is quite strong, and Babzera's is no longer in this game, sending them out, but will it be in 7th place? Will that Tiniest Titans healing be enough to beat Potable, who also fell out?
Potable fell out in just a 1 HP difference. Potable's in 7th, and Babzera is in 6th. So now Branching Out need exactly 1st and 2nd place to win this round and clinch the 2-0. But Geekay, CLE, Geekay are making the comeback of a lifetime.
And that is the Tiniest Titans diff there. Healing to that 3 HP instead of being on 1 changes an entire placement in this game. And with it, really cementing Geekay's chances of actually winning this game number 2. Now branching out has to go first and second place in this game to win the matchup.
Yeah, Volta is very strong here at the top, re-rolling for all of these massive upgrades. The Syndra 3, the Rumble, Galio, and Mordekaiser all upgraded. Double Archangels on the Nami as well, with 3 Mage on the board. Even that's Horizon Focus. Yeah, for the Nami, that's massive.
That's so good because of the CC that comes through.
All right, stage 6, the Sentinels upgraded here for Lakoko. Rocking with a lot of synergies here on the left-hand side, 2 of everything, but going up against the Shapeshifters here. Will Coco survive?
This board is looking quite good. A lot of upgrades across the board. The Nasus is very, very big. This super tank will continue to survive throughout the fight, but will this Varus be able to do enough damage at the front line? It does not appear so. Good items on this Gwen will not be enough for them to win. And so Arcjao out, as well as Lakoko, meaning Geekay Esports take this game win.
Geekay Esports send us to a game 3, and this is a hype series, CLE. When it's all on the line now, we go to the distance. Geekay Esports finding their first win of the event against Branching Out. They did get 2 wins yesterday to make it to this point, of course, versus Zeta Division. But now they've kind of beat their rival after losing 3 times in a row.
And history won't repeat itself. No 2-0 for Branching Out versus Geekay in this game. It will be a game number 3, and we're excited to see who will continue on in this tournament. And this is kind of what I expect to see all day, right? Everyone fighting for their tournament lives, understanding the stakes of what is going on, knowing that they have to perform, especially in these clutch moments, to put themselves in a spot to move forward.
100%. This game still does matter in terms of that highest average placement at the end of it all, so players still going to be trying their best, even though we already confirmed moving into a game 3. Dobbs does take a loss versus VCLF there. The 4 Incanters and 4 Shapeshifters for Dobbs, and this did come through off the back of a Bladed Jewel getting selected from that first augment choice, right? With that armory, and Bladed Jewel doing so well on units like Karma, actually we haven't really talked about yet, but it's just so much power in shredding that magic resist.
Yeah, when the magic resist gets shred, this whole board will do a lot more damage, and with 4 Incanter and the amount of AP that comes from that, with a Swain that does AP damage, with a Nico that does AP damage, there's a lot of power that can be gained by reducing the magic resist.
Yeah, now we see Volterix versus VCLF, the Vanguard Mages versus the Multi-Strikers, and it looks like it's just dominant until the Multi-Strikers get in the back line.
The Nami, though, trying its best to clean up the rest of this fight using that Horizon Focus, plus all of the scaling AP, and that will be enough to take a win there. Dobbs dropping very low. Looks like this is Volta's game to win.
100% it does. Dobbs now taking 2 losses in a row. 1 versus the Ghost as we get into the last carousel of the game. Dobbs taking Adaptive, VCLF with a Last Whisper.
Important decisions here to try and figure out a way to beat Volta's board. Level 9 for him, the only one level 9 currently. And still having some gold to roll down.
Ooh.
Dobbs is level 9 as well. And now we have a Dragon on board for Volta. So he's looking to put an end to this game right now.
Yeah, one of the strongest combat charms when we reach this endgame situation. 4,000 HP on that is great, but it deals some massive damage as well as this Syndra and the Nami. A huge frontline tank with 3 items Rumble and 3 items on the Mordekaiser is going to be going up against Dobbs, who has sold a full board. So VCLF can, of course, take that win and maybe take out Volterix. Some good team play we see here happening.
Yeah, knowing who has a chance in this matchup, and it will probably depend on the RNG of these multi-striker positioning. Will a colleague get on the backline? We just upgraded a 4 cost to a 5 cost, and not the one that they were hoping for, not a Camille. And so rolling back down to find another Calista 2. I liked that play.
Yeah.
That was a good Hail Mary.
It is exactly that, right? The Hail Mary, the go big or go home, and it might just be them going home in this match, but they have still advanced on into the next game, and that is the more important part, as we have potentially the final round of this match.
Yeah, this should be the end here, I would imagine. After weakening their board by trying to make a Hail Mary play, this will be the end. Geekay able to make the comeback here in game number 2, just barely. You see Volta winning that game, and if they would have gotten that second place, possibly for branching out, they would have been able to go for that 2-0, but instead, game number 3.
Game number 3 is going to be so hype, CLE. I actually didn't think that we would get here. Not gonna lie, I thought that branching out kind of had the number of Geekay Esports. They'd already beaten them 3 games in a row, but you can't do it 4 times in a row. Geekay finding their stride, having that momentum into that next game. I actually think that's going to be a large factor, right? Getting that confidence. If you lose to the same team, you know, time and time again, you're like, okay, maybe we just can't beat them, man. But no, they have proven that they can do it. They've proven that they can go toe to toe with the #1 seed out of EMEA and might be able to do it 2 times in a row.
Oh yeah, and this game was such a journey, specifically for Geekay Esports in this game, as we check out some of the highlights from game number 2. And we saw a lot of variance this game, especially with the prismatics that we were able to pick up.
Exactly. Actually, that's funny that you mentioned that. This game could have came down to the first portal decision, right? Tactician's Crown versus Prismatic Party. And we know that Geekay really wanted Prismatic Party. The variance was in their favor this time around. All of the augments that came through, it seemed like they utilized them to the highest effectiveness. And so that might have actually told the story, funnily enough.
Yeah, and it worked out for them. They were able to use that variance, use the high-powered boards to their advantage, able to secure a lot of the middling spots in this lobby, able to avoid 7th and 8th, which is just such a crucial spot in these lobbies. If you go that 8th place, it just makes it infinitely more difficult on your team.
Exactly, right? The tiniest Titan was what let Bapzera go just 1 placement above Pas de Bull, right? There were 2 open forwarders. 1 was Pas de Bull, 1 was Bapzera. They got eliminated on the same round, but Bapzera just eked out that little bit of placement, which made the difference at the end of the day, right? It is really a game of inches as well, a game of just these little decisions, saving a little bit of HP on each round, maybe in the early game. This positioning, the charm decisions, right? There is so much that goes into every single game of TFT. And so after we come back from this break, we're going to see game number 3 between Branching Out and Geekay Esports.
لحظات البداية عاشت معنا. كنا نحسبها وقت للتسلية بس. نحسبها بس ذكريات.
عبود أعطي أختك اليد يا ولد.
ابتكرنا فيها ابتكارات، وإذا بغينا قلبناها خرافات. كنا نحسبها بس لمة وصحبة وسهرات.
انتبه نوب ترى نوب.
لكن كنا نشوف عالم ما حد يشوفه.
ليت يشغل وقته بشيء يفيده.
الله عليك على اليد سود.
عالم كبر وعاش فينا. عالم الحماس فيه يوصلك كل مرة لحلم أصعب، بس ما يصعب عليك. بارت معك وين ما تروح.
One game to determine your playoff lives. Will Branching Out or Geekay Esports be moving on to our playoff bracket? We will have this last game to find out.
Oh, what an intense series it has already been. Branching Out taking game number 1. Geekay Esports finding the fault in their game plan, finding the recipe for success, and they just need to do that one more time to advance into the playoff bracket, right? It's going to be such a huge relief when you do advance. You're not the first 4 teams to be eliminated today. There will be more eliminations, of course, when we do reach that playoff bracket, but they can have it well within their grasp. Just one more game.
One more game for the rest of their lives in this tournament for both of them. Win or go home. This game is all of the stakes. Everything will come down to this. All their preparation, all of the games they've played, all of the travel that they've had to head over to Riyadh for the Esports World Cup. And this is the decider of will they stay in the tournament or go home. Branching Out in Geekay Esports.
Yeah, VCLF and Dobbs really put the team on their back in that last game. VCLF with that multi-striker reroll and Dobbs with a fantastic Syndra spot. And I was really questioning, you know, is Dobbs going to have that really star moment because they had a poor game number 1? They struggled in the first series, of course, against Branching Out, but really showing that, hey, once I am comfortable, once I, you know, have a game plan, I can execute that and pilot it all the way to the top. VCLF, of course, as well, finding that uncontested line, and that has been the kind of story to tell across this whole event as we get into the final game of Branching Out versus Geekay Esports CLE. Just one more to advance.
Yeah, and curious to see what the portal will be, and it looks like it is all in favor of Golden Finale, wanting to have just a little bit of a normal looking game, not having anything guaranteed until that final augment choice.
Yeah, I guess this is already the least variance game we're going to see, right? Game number 1 with Tactician's Crown. Game number 2 with all the prismatic augments coming through. Voltairix getting a greater champion duplicator to start things off. That is, you know, -3 gold, I suppose, as that does come in lieu of another 3 cost or just that 3 gold. I have to see how Voltairix puts that to use.
I've never seen this, but I've always been curious about if you have that early 3 cost, duplicating it and selling it for gold.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not worth it, but it's a thought.
I remember back in the day when that's been widely discussed. Some North American players complained a lot about getting those duplicator openers, but Mortdog's just like, bro, you can just duplicate a unit and then get the same gold. They're like, no, that's not worth it. That's not worth it. So they're like, okay, what are you complaining about then? You have a better spot then, is kind of what you're saying. So we'll have to see what Volterix does with that. I don't imagine that he's going to duplicate it and sell for economy. I imagine it is going to be left to upgrade a very impactful unit a bit later on, but still a interesting consideration.
Yeah, the power that does offer you on a possible level 8 roll down, or just getting that powerful 3-star unit that you need, is way more valuable than just 3 gold here in the early game. And so we do have a couple players having Syndras here early, which we see as the mark of a good game in this patch. And so looking towards our first augment being these gold augments. Trade sector is one that has had a lot of popularity because of being able to stack up those rerolls here early in the set. Prize fighter, though, if you have that early board, can give you lots and lots of components.
Yeah, I think if Arcjo had a little bit of a stronger board, actually prize fighter might have been a good pick. But category 5 now, I know you love this augment, CLE, and it's a new 2 already in the front line for Pot of Bowl. This is a massive tempo-oriented style of play here.
Yeah, Nunu 2, having that Rumble already, having that pair of Kog'Maws. This is the best spot we've seen for Kog'Maw, maybe even in the tournament. I'm sure someone on the other side from Geekay is looking at that and said, it would be a shame if I ruined it, right?
Absolutely. We're going to need to send someone on Kog'Maw grief duty here, because if not, it could very well just run away with the whole entire game. Nunu does not have any items on him yet, so it's still going to struggle in this early game. Does get one more cast off for a bit of a heal, but Kog'Maw only having that Runan's not going to be able to get the round win here. Not enough gold, in fact, even to level up to 4. So Potable not opting for that minor wish either from that charm choice.
Man, he wanted that Tristana in shop if he won. I believe that's why he didn't click for minor wish there.
Yeah.
Wanting to win to get that, did not quite find what they were looking for.
Arcjo with that trade sector, right? All the rerolls gonna be stacking up, makes that 3-2, or if you're rich enough, 3-1 roll down that much more impactful. You're a lot more likely to hit your units before you reach an econ breakpoint that you just cannot recover from. Arcjo going for that early shapeshifter front line as well. And well, of course, with trade sector, it is more likely to run that Syndra and shapeshifter kind of reroll style of play. Look for all those 3 stars. But it is not going to be a decider, right? We still can go for pushing levels here.
Yeah, the trade sector does not really affect your ability to level. It does not really impact your gold. It just gives you those rerolls for free, 1 each round. So he has 2 in the bank right now, has not rolled a single time, it would appear. Needs to get that gold up. It was one of the flaws with this augment in the past, but now with the system changes, it makes it a lot better, because you would have to roll and then you'd have to spend your gold to buy the units that you rolled into. And so you were really nerfed as far as it goes for economy. But flexible here for Volta, getting Mage Crest on a Syndra, super fun.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen Mage Syndra before. She just casts so much, but
it's wonderful.
If you get 3 Mage online, yeah, or more, you just boom, boom, cast. That's 2 stacks already, as Volta might be leaning towards that direction. Of course, Shojin was the slam, but still that champion duplicator that we gotta keep note of on the bench. The front line is rather lacking with just a Warwick and a Blitzcrank 1, right, with those 1-cost units. But hopefully Volta can stack this Syndra up into that critical mass.
Yeah, the good part about having Syndra with this Mage Crest on it is it fits really well into that board, right? We see that Vanguard Syndra comp have Mage already active. You can even go to that level 9, play 5 Mage with that Nora that is incredibly powerful in the late game. And so you can find a lot of success with this Mage emblem on Syndra.
Yeah, and we just saw briefly, scrolling through all these boards, that Dobbs actually took Pyro as the augment choice, so is playing around this vertical pyro play style. Dobbs had a fantastic game last game and taking a big risk here. I actually do love to see that. I think that's something that Geekay Esports is going to need to win this series, and we've seen 5 Pyro really have some huge impact in the tournament already.
Yeah, 5 Pyro is one of those verticals that is quite strong, especially if you can get it online early, get those stacks, get those cinders that really power up the whole trait. You get that onto a blaster in the late game. You get some of these early upgrades like we just saw come through, and it can start to take over.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised even if Dobbs slams an Infinity Edge. It is a very good board. A Kali upgrade, Jax upgrade, 3 multis. Ashe is a fantastic, early game carry with this strategy in mind. She gets some extra attack speed with that Pyro as well. Dobbs, I think, should be considering summoning items here. Not sure if he actually will, though. Of course, Varus does scale very well with some flat attack damage. Infinity Edge being one of his best in slot items, as Volta over on the other side does now have a Rage Blade as well as that Shojin on the Syndra.
Man, as soon as he gets Mage in, this Syndra is going to scale to the moon. Get so many stacks, but for now, losing lots and lots of HP because that board is a little bit weak. But, he's going to roll down on that 3-2 mark, where we see a lot of people roll down on level 6 to try and strengthen their board, and he'll be all right.
Yeah, well, VCLF having Syndra 2 already this early in the game. No items on her, though, but there is Slammin being that first augment choice, so getting that extra component, and if there are no components on your bench round, you just get 2 XP for free. So being able to push a lot of levels here is VCLF. This is a pretty strong board to start things off. He did take a couple of losses, right, but still the makings of a really good mid-game board.
We see Volt on the other side, full stacking this round, not even keeping the Syndra in for fear of winning, and so instead will be making 30 gold economy, as well as continuing that 5 loss streak now for them. But at the top of our lobby, we have Enzo and Lakoko, both at 4 win streaks, hoping that they can each continue, and that would be a wonderful economic advantage for branching out.
Yeah, Enzo and Coco are unfortunately facing each other, so Enzo does take the loss there. Coco maintains the win streak. Volterix, of course, fully loss streaked there at the bottom. Is rather rich, though. 40 gold about. Bapzera 4 loss streak with about the same number. A 8 HP lead, though, between the two.
Pair of Syndras is quite good. Obviously no items on that Syndra. Lakoko here, we're looking at the board that is win streaking. 3 portal that we've talked about is just so incredibly strong in this early game with some good items slammed. Obviously 2 Thieves Gloves with sleight of hand is quite good. Almost a half of another one here on bench for Lakoko. Hitting possibly that 30 gold mark. Yeah, will sell away that Swain.
And is maybe leaning towards Portal, right? Keeping the Ezreal pair. If Coco, say, finds a spat on this upcoming carousel, definitely a line that you can go into. It is very flexible right now. Already having 2 Thieves Gloves, Sleight of Hand being the first augment choice, and another glove on the bench. This is a lot of power and a big reason why Coco full win streak throughout all of stage 2. Really good tempo style of play here.
I'm curious to see where this board will end up, right? This is one of the most flexible starts that you can have, having only 1 real item slammed on your board. Now having an AD component on your bench with that sword. Who really knows where this will go? Category 5 on the other side for Padebo. This is a great start for them. They have so many AD items, which we've seen be very important in this board, because you can duo carry, even trio carry with these hunters, and blasters with Tristana and Jinx. So a great item setup for them, but really does need to get it together. We see Volta over here at level 5 did find 2-star Syndra with 1 on bench with a good amount of goals, so didn't roll for that at all.
Wow, yeah, that's very fortunate for Volta here. I am worried for the gold of Potable, right? They're going for that Kog'Maw line, but they are only 30 gold, the poorest in the lobby, as we do get a prismatic augment coming through here on 3-2.
Radiant Refractor has had a lot of power recently in the meta, especially with that Spear of Sojin. I think that will be the choice here for Volta. Radiant Spear of Sojin is so incredibly strong, granting 10 mana per attack. So not only the mage hat, but also a spear to attack with.
Yeah, it makes Syndra cast every 3 autos instead of every 4, and it just gives extra base stats as well. Very, very strong with Syndra having that 60 mana pool. Volta, level 6, has a Pyro emblem now as well because he was flexible. I don't know how much he can do with that besides just slot in a Nasus maybe towards the mid or late stages of this game. But it's going to be Chrono here, as well as Witchcraft for Bapsera, who has that augment as well.
Yeah, flexible, and these are so good for Bapsera. This Witchcraft board with Karma that you play Chrono in is just staring him right in the face, having that blue buff already. This was the plan, but we see across the lobby 3 people taking that prismatic version of Support Golem that has 2 of those support items, and it's the best performing augment in the game right now to take at this point because of the power it provides. So we'll see a lot of people start to win very heavily because of these golems.
Yeah, we see 2 really good ones over there for Enzo, the Renewer, and the big gem. An upgrade of Shyvana's potentially for Arcgyle, but does skip past it, in fact, and wants to roll 4. It looks like these Vanguards, finding the Vanguard of Tom Kench, which is a very, very big hit, is going to sell out of these shapeshifters, make a little bit of that gold back. Needs to find a good unit to play, however, that synergizes with that Shyvana, or excuse me, with that Syndra, skipping the Shyvana, in fact. And yeah, it is going to be the 2 Incanter being played, but no upgrades besides the Rumble is not spelling a good story here for Arcgyle. 20 gold, pair of Gallios, pair of Syndras, and pair of Mordekaisers still.
This is a really bad spot to be in. No Syndra upgrade and a very, very big lack of upgrades in that front line as well for Arcgyle, who is kind of all in on this with especially the trade sector having so many rerolls and just not finding what he's looking for.
Yeah, that's super low roll. That basically feels like it just like negates your first augment choice. You used all those rerolls and nothing came from it. Maybe should have gone the direction of the shapeshifters because you actually found upgrades there, right? Have to see if that does bite them in the butt here as Bapsera takes immediately this Karma being offered to them, and they already have the setup, right? You were talking about that Witchcraft and the Chrono from the flexible augment. Bapsera just gets a Karma for free.
And it's a good item too for this composition that will be quite impactful for their chances in this game. It's going to be an immediate swap of items, I would imagine, straight onto this Karma 1, and probably putting Witchcraft on there from this Swain as well. Maybe have to hold on to that for a few more rounds until you do that.
Oh, just swap it now.
Yeah, just swap it now. Play a Tom Kench, which is a very powerful unit. Play Chrono, 4 Chrono in, so we will have a full pause with some healing. Just need to get that really important Morellonomicon on to Karma as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, actually, what is the consideration here besides Morello's, right? Do we want the power right now? Are we gonna want to slam something like a death cap, because it is still a lot of damage? But it looks like Bapsera is greeding it out, and I think I would have to agree. Greed has to be the name of the game somewhat here for both of these teams. They're going to be looking for that first place spot, right? And even if you go 8th, right, if the rest of your team is in a good spot, you can still win out on that match. But it's going to be so rough going up against VCLF in this matchup, just because VCLF already has that support golem, has the Syndra 2, has a lot of things working very well for them right now. But Bapsera is rich, however, right? They are almost level 7, right? Still going to be on 50 gold. Finding some good upgrades, however, with that Shapeshifter Swain back in, and a Nico 2 as well.
And this board only has 3 Witchcraft, and we already saw the power and the amount of damage that came through from this board. Bapsera, though, hoping for one more loss. It does appear, not putting any resources in this. Look at this category 5 that is absolutely taken off now. 3 Rune's Hurricanes across the board, 100 counter spat on this Tristana makes them very strong. Gonna be playing a 4 hunter variation of this, I would imagine, later on in this game.
Yeah, look at how many bolts are flying through the air. This is absolutely hilarious. Going to be taking out the back line here. The only worry is the frontline items, right? There's only a Sterex on that Nunu, and that's not a typically good item for them. However, the healing that comes through with this 4 Witchcraft is not going to be enough. It was looking good for a while, but the reroll Gogma, the category 5, showing that power.
Very important win there. Lakoko, 10 win streak, 100 HP, using those Thieves Gloves to his advantage, has not lost a single time this game, and now using the immovable object as well to streak.
This is great spot recognition, and I think this is the sign of the most impressive TFT play that we can actually see on this specific patch, is if you aren't offered a reroll line or a Cinder opener, how do you find your strongest board to go fast 8 with, right? And it is using these augments like Sleight of Hand, getting all these Thieves Gloves, and just building a strong board. Coco recognizing that position so well. Beautiful to see as 3 members of Branching Out there are at the top.
This fairy emblem's pretty good too, because you're going to be playing Recon, so you can put that fairy emblem on any unit that you want to put that item that fairy makes you as well. And so you see it will continue to gain the team HP from Flexible, as well as be quite powerful. We see a TG, not exactly what they're looking for. They are really wanting that Morello. Yeah,
Morello still eluding Babzera, but got Ionic Spark. And got that TG.
Also got another mage one.
Oh, okay. Volta's gonna maybe rock like 5 mage at the end of it. They already have 3 right now because of that Galio and 2 mage emblems. The frontline upgrades
are gonna have mage Karma.
So strong. Yeah.
Mage Karma, Mage Syndra. That board is going to absolutely take off. Just need to find that Nami, find that Karma, get to level 8 for Volta. Use that duplicator effectively, and that board can take off. Lakoko still surviving, barely still keeping that win streak. That is what he needs. This last augment, as we know already, Golden Finale. Is this? Oh, I thought he was about to take a 3rd mage hat.
Yeah, that would have been really crazy. Combat Caster, however, Volta is going to be rolling down, does find 1 copy of Karma, and honestly that is all you need at this point. Slap all those Ziggs items on there, and that is a very powerful back line carry. The champion duplicator, we gotta recognize, right, still on the bench. That could still make a big difference here, as we see Sugarcraft stacking just a little bit, and we have 5 mage on this board: Vex, Galio, Vigar, and then of course the 2 mage emblems on Syndra and Karma. They're going to be doing so much damage here. We finally have some Mordekaisers slotting in for that 4 Vanguard.
Man, it is insane that 5 mage just fits on this board now like this. Once you get that Nami specifically, this board is going to absolutely take off, because Eldritch also spawning. But the problem is, frontline, all 1-star, need to really upgrade something. Have this duplicator to really power up everything when you need to. But that category 5 just absolutely fell over because of the lack of frontline.
Yeah, absolutely. The lack of frontline was really a detriment there. Just so much damage popping out for that team. Babzera, meanwhile, still going to be finding some wins here. It looks like that is a Fiora 2 with that Chrono emblem.
Fiora 2 is one of the hardest things to hit on this board. Obviously, that Karma 2 is heavily contested in this lobby, as it is in most lobbies these days. Rolling down here to see if we can find that Morgana would be an excellent addition to this board. Also, playing that alongside Preserver. But, you know, we've got a couple frontline upgrades, plus that Fiora, but the no items for that Fiora also makes that a little awkward. And so 6 Witchcraft, though, applying a lot of these debuffs and a lot of damage across the board. So I imagine this board will continue to be good.
Yeah, for Chrono Fiora is actually very interesting, because when the pause does happen, right, that few seconds where only the Chronos can still be active, Fiora is going to be doing a lot of damage in that time. Curious to see what other items ends up going on her. We have that open chain vest, right? So maybe an Edge of Night going on her. We'll have to see here so soon.
Edge of Night would be quite good in making sure she survives until that chrono break. But I think the priority right now is on this Morello. This fight would be completely the other direction, I would imagine, with that Morello, especially on a Karma 2. Not letting that shielding happen in the way it did, keeping that front line alive.
Yeah, 100%. Everyone on this board, all little legends here watching this fight. There is that Pyro board from Dobbs, rocking that Pyro Callista, had that Nasus in the front line. Ooh, for Bapsera, there is a Morgana, right? That's a huge pickup, and he, yes, goes right for it. It's not going to be a Morello's, though. Again, it eludes him, but maybe going to be satisfied with the Death Cap Slam here.
Really opens up that Preserver line, though.
Yeah.
It's just so important for Bapsera. I also think he probably might slam that Crown Guard on this Morgana, which is quite good. Keeping her in the front line and then keeping that rod open for the possible Morello later, but he needs to figure it out now. 20 HP is not a lot to work with, but this Morgana opens a lot up for this team, dropping a couple of those Witchcraft in for Preservers. Maybe the play here, not finding Karma again, finding Emilio. If you find that Bard, having Scholar in as well would be quite impactful. Another Morgana in shop.
Oh, okay. Is actually going to be swapping up the board a bunch, right? Dropping down to only 2 Chrono, is playing 2 Preserver with that Rakan upgrade, and the Morgana. The Zillion has been sold. TG on the Rakan is very good tank items this round, but no Crown Guard or Death Cap. Now the Crown Guard goes on that Morgana, like you were saying.
Yeah, this board is looking a bit better, a lot more frontline for sure, but the damage is still lacking. Just mana items on this Karma and not a lot of damage coming from any other source. No items on this Fiora basically, and so Lakoko on the other side, who did take a loss last round, has now spent a lot of his gold, he used a lot of his advantage, and is stabilized at 91 HP.
Yeah, with 8 Portal, it looked like there. That is a massive kind of pivot in composition. Utilized a ton of gold to do so. Everyone nearly broke in this lobby. But wow, look at how this board is kind of, you know, shaped together, and that Keeper's value as well.
8 Portal, but no Spatula. Like, this is not something we've seen at all. We've seen it with 1, 2, even 3 Spatulas in this tournament. But with 0, 8 Portal being active means you're playing a lot of these low-cost units. He's obviously trying to push his tempo, trying to continue that win streak, continue those ways. And with Keepers and a movable object, the amount of resistances with this big HP bar and that giant shield makes this very difficult for anyone else to get through.
Yeah, there is maybe even too much shielding there. It's not even getting the full value, honestly, with all that Portal shielding and the Keeper's shielding and the extra resistances that Randuin's does give. I don't know. Coco's teams might be, you know, unkillable for now. I don't know if anyone actually has the damage.
Yeah, but the thing we need to keep our eye on, Geekay is getting quite low in this lobby. Obviously, Possible is down there as well. But 1 life for Bapsera, 2 lives for Arcgel and VCLF, and 2 lives for Potable as well. It is a dire situation for Geekay. They really need to move themselves up this leaderboard and get their boards stabilized.
Yeah, for Geekay, is not looking great. Even Dobbs, losing the last round, drops to 35 HP. Maybe just 3 lives left for him if there are bad losses coming through. Enzo somehow has picked up, you know, a Cassiopeia 3. She does do a ton of damage. Meanwhile, Arcgel for Geekay is able to level up to 8. Hopefully find 1 Karma to slot in. Not quite yet, however. And there's not really any items on this backline besides for the Syndra.
Any Encanter would really work. Slamming a TG will be great. No Encanter found. Bapsera still no upgrade on that Karma, but now has 2 anti-heal items that were just slammed. That Morello on Karma is going to be awesome, but the red buff on this Morgana is what he has left.
Yeah, it's going to be spreading the anti a little bit faster. Of course, it'll be spread anyway. But against Volta, can Babzera actually hang on? Because Volta's so strong here. I don't know if it's going to be the case. Babzera just won life, and no, it's not going to be enough, CLE. Babzera, hands on his head, realizes that that was an unfortunate way for that game to end for him, especially with how good of emblems that he got. Babzera takes 8th, Arcjo takes our loss and down to 7 HP.
And that is not what you wanted to happen after that neutral stage in stage 5, because what you're looking for is wins out of those bottom 2 players stabilizing. Lakoko taking this artifact anvil here. Good options.
Yeah, maybe Ludens for Rise. Yeah, Wit's End.
Wit's End sounds good too.
I don't think it procs when he's casting though, so it maybe loses a little bit of value there. It is going to be rapid fire.
RFC.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of attack speed, getting him to that cast faster. I don't mind that one. Probably, I would have thought maybe Ludens is better, but hey, rapid fire might very well be the best option. Pot of Bull here with all of these Runaan's category 5 play.
Yeah, but there's so much healing and shielding. It is hitting onto that Syndra, but not doing any damage, basically. I was so excited about this augment a few games ago yesterday, and it's not looking too hot in this game.
No, it's very creative. It's very fun to watch, but not really making it work out here, unfortunately. VCLF drops low, and oh no, this is looking so dire for Geekay Esports. They are all now on single-digit HP. I don't even know if it's mathematically possible, depending on matchups, right? Depending on desperate pleas, like maybe they have a chance, but it is looking so dire.
With the 8th place, that basically means they have to go first too. So it is, unless there is a miraculous comeback, specifically by Arcjo, who we've seen start to win a couple rounds, this is going to be quite difficult. We see this board on the other side that is very strong. But the Cassiopeia is not as strong of a carry as the Syndra is, and as this board wraps around the Wukong that is nearly unkillable sometimes, the CC coming through will provide a challenge to this board. The Wukong will fall, not yet. The massive shield coming through is huge. Cassio does bring down the Syndra. Arcjo falls down, and that means, officially? Yeah, 2 members of Geekay drop out. And so branching out, moving forward into the playoffs.
Oh man, branching out, make it happen. They might even do the 1, 2, 3, 4 if VCLF drops on the bottom 4 too. They could advance in style, but such a good run from Geekay Esports, right? Fighting their way back to this point in the lower bracket, being 1 game away from advancing, and that makes it so much more heartbreaking that they do fall in this matchup and will not be moving forward into the playoffs.
We've actually not even had a 1, 2, 3, 4 in the entire tournament so far, and so this would be a dominating fashion, a great way for them to move forward. VCLF rolling everything they have, trying to get this board in a spot, but a Blitzcrank 2 being the main tank in this composition probably isn't going to be enough to ever challenge for much more than this top 4.
Yeah, VCLF trying to, but going up against a very strong board of Volta with all those mages.
Yeah, it does get a pretty good Zephyr, especially onto this Nami that is going to have a very critical cast, but the board, the front line is disappearing, and with it will VCLF. Will we see the 1, 2, 3, 4?
Let's see. He falls. Pot of Bull falls as well, but it looks like Pot of Bull might have more HP. We'll see when the standings are going to be updated here, and yes,
there it is.
The 1, 2, 3, 4, the most dominant run we have seen in a single match in this whole tournament. Branching out, advance in style.
One of the things here for this matchup specifically is Lakoko and the pressure he put on this lobby with that win streak, and now just playing a super creative board that's not super strong in this late game as we've seen, but just knowing that, hey, I did my job, I won through a lot of this mid game. Now Volta, Enzo, you guys with these strong boards, you guys can take care of the rest, knock out Geekay Esports, and with it, The 1, 2, 3, 4 is incredibly impressive.
It is the most dominance that we have seen, of course, as we're just getting a little bit of this final few rounds action. Actually, we're gonna be here for a little bit because they're pretty healthy, right? Coco is 61 HP, Enzo 53. Definitely want to, you know, not understate just how dominant that this game was, right? Not only is it a 1-2-3-4, but it was a 1-2-3-4 with like a lot of HP to spare. Geekay struggled from start to finish. The amount of pressure that you're talking about that Coco put in the lobby, but also Volta, right? Volta with those mage emblems, right? We could say it's a little bit of a high roll to get double mage and be able to play kind of that style very effectively. He did hit, you know, kind of some useless emblems, right, with the Honeymancer. The Sugarcraft now does get a little bit of value, but getting the mages when he did was just so powerful. But a key thing is, right, and playing it so well.
Yeah. I mean, having those 2 mage emblems is obviously a little bit of a high roll. I don't think anyone would deny that. But, we might be seeing a Rise 3 here. We are 3 away, and I imagine these guys will have some fun with the end of this game. Maybe each of them, you know, I'll take this forecast, you take this forecast. We'll see which one is better.
Yeah, 100%. We do get some more items coming through, of course. 3 rises away. We have 20 gold in the bank, so we'd have to hire a little bit to hit that rise 3, but maybe, hey, some of those charms will be providing some of that economy, or maybe even a duplicator as well.
These fights, although they do not matter for the match, you know, bragging rights and also MVP performances across the tournament are quite important to each of these players. There's a $50,000 prize pool for the most valuable player across this tournament, and so each of these players fighting for that chance.
Yeah, 100%. That's going to be something that all players, at least who advance, are, you know, eyeing on, right? If you have that most valuable performance, if you have the kind of highest average finish, then 50k is pretty darn good. That's like, you know, placing top 2 at like a world championship event, right? That's gonna be the money you walk away with from getting first place in the whole event, split amongst, you know, 4 players. So definitely nothing to scoff at here. Very important rounds, of course, still happening. Volta running away with the lobby though. 10 win streak. Wow, just such a powerful 3 items across 3 carries in the backline here. Such dominant fashion.
And will he be able to take down this Poppy? The answer is yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Poppy might have just one-shot the whole board there. That was really scary.
Yeah, 1-star Poppy, the most powerful unit in the game.
Hey, a spat.
Hey,
Level 10 with 1 Poppy, exact gold.
The level 10 roll down. Let's. Okay.
Wait a minute.
Hold
Is
on.
this the Soju special? Level to 10, roll once? Wait, we can't even roll once. Wait a minute.
The Lococo special, the classic.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. Oh, we're sacking?
Yes, we
What
are.
what are we waiting for here?
Maybe trying to give a certain player the MVP. Could be the case here.
Very possible. I'm curious to see if we're waiting. Oh no, Lococo was the guy that had all the rises. That's what definitely happened. He rolled it all the way down for rise 3. Did not hit.
I see. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Also, right, this Cassiopeia 3, we didn't really see that in the mid game, but it kind of just snuck up on us, and yeah, it's doing a lot of work. Rage Blade and that Gunblade as well. Not only does she pump out so much damage, but she's gonna be healing the whole entire team too, and that has been in effect the entirety of the game.
Yeah, I think as a secondary carry to this Karma that's just blowing up teams with near perfect itemization, the Cassio's doing quite a bit of work as a secondary carry there and just a main healer with that Gunblade.
Yeah, Coco taking the Vanguard for fun as we have just the last couple of rounds of this match. And so, of course, that support golem was a huge factor in them being so dominant. Coco.
Vanguard Poppy
yeah.
is unbeatable.
Imagine there was some like crazy bug that existed, like if you have just like one unit on your board, you put like an emblem on them, they just like can't die or something like that. It was like, you remember the bug that happened in the past where it was like the unkillable, was it like Garen or something, where you like kept putting the remover or like on him and he just kept like stacking HP?
Yeah,
something like that.
There's been a couple of those that just break the game
Yeah.
that are just like so bad. Did we get it? Oh, we got another mage emblem. We have 7 mage in currently because of that
temporary
charm
one, yeah.
giving that temporary emblem. That is a lot of damage.
Yeah, that is... Did he kill a single unit? Maybe one? That's a lot of Wukongs.
I have no clue. Yeah, we're going to roll it all the way down for it because he knows that he is not going to
Wukong
beat
3.
Volta's
Wukong
board.
3. Wukong... Hey! we
Okay,
hit.
now we're going to roll for the upgrade charm. Here we go.